Chapter 2. Marika Paters leaned her body against the front doors of the Fish and Wildlife Service building. Her petite frame barely nudged the heart-open door. She had to put some muscle into it. But with her neon green sneakers on, she had no problem muscling her way in. The shoes weren't neon green because she was hip and into bright things, but because her home was such a mess, she could never find her white ones. With a spring in her step, she bounded through the front lobby. "Good morning, Ms. Paters. How are you?" the receptionist said. Marika waved back. "I'm great. How are you this morning?" The receptionist raised her mug of coffee. "Just a few more of these and I'll be on your level." Maybe she was just weird, but she had never understood why people thought she was high on caffeine. Granted, she had a lot of pep, but most shifters did, especially those with a smaller animal. The big bears and cats took so much energy just to get around, and when they shifted, a couple of 1,000 calories were burned in the process. For her, the fox inside was perfect. The girl didn't demand very much, was a happy camper most of the time, and always glad to lend a paw when needed. The critter was sometimes excitable, too. Depended what was going on or who was going on. They were always on the lookout for their destined mate. And it always helped that Marika loved her job. She'd always loved learning things and solving mysteries growing up. How did something work? Why was the sky blue? If she took it apart, could she put it back together without a lot of extra parts lying around? What clues existed that would link a killer to this evidence? The kind of questions a research scientist strove to answer. Her area of study out of college had dealt with animal DNA and the impact of the environment on animals. That was how she teamed up with Charlie. At a conference discussing new and emerging technologies in the science of animal studies, she and Charlie attended a round table and became instant friends. When Marika was offered a job at the FAWS facility as one of the head scientists, she jumped at the chance to be near her friend. The two were inseparable outside their work. They were two lone wolves, well, a fox and an animal whisperer, on the prowl looking for fun. As time went by, Charlie opened her own vet clinic and worked more than she slept. The need for animal forensics in association with crime scenes rocketed, and when Marika wasn't in the lab searching for evidence and clues, she was testifying in courts around the country. That led to the need for shifter forensics. FAWS quickly became the go-to place when it came to crimes concerning shifters, mainly because no other facilities were shifter-friendly. Marika specialized in shifter genetics and studied all she could concerning the transitions from ancient to modern shifters. So it wasn't surprising that she was given a special project she wasn't to discuss with anyone. Several men, including her boss's boss, asked her to attend a meeting in the conference room. As far as the research and forensics teams were concerned, the conference room was where the reprimands were delivered, as well as the "you're fired" speech. Nervous wasn't the word for what she felt walking into the room. But all turned out well. They didn't tell her very much, because they didn't know themselves, but the boxes of files lining the side wall were to be her project until it was done. She was to go through the cryptic data and decipher the meaning to see what, or if, it had to do with creating or breeding shifters, or other technological beings. That had shocked the shit out of her for a second. Shifters were created. But then she thought about humans. Somewhere down the line, they were created too. But knowing someone took notes and had a direct hand in her life was awe-inspiring. Like God saying, "Marika, you are life. Go forth and prosper, but stay away from the damn tree." The boxes contained work from a highly advanced people with technology far beyond what Earth had today. There was no question in her mind that aliens were behind the science. Why those aliens had been on Earth, she had no answer, but she had the reason for the creation: protectors of Earth. The ancient aliens' goal was to create a race of creatures that would be able to communicate with both sides of this planet, the animal side and the human side. The creatures were to make sure the planet was safe from those who would do it harm.